What's going on, guys? This is Damien from The Lookout and welcome to this video where I tell you, hey, if you're looking to buy some generic stuff from the newest set, buy these cards. There's not a lot of them, but we've added some promo cards as well. So consider this your generic card purchasing guide. We will also be including decks in which you can include these cards. So yeah, that's basically it. A lot of cards from this set aren't generic, but we found some bits and pieces here and there. But before we begin this video is brought to you by us, by Zenkai Showdown, 22nd of April in Poland. It's our event, it's going to have the best prizes in Europe. We still have some tickets left, so go check them out, link is in the description below. And yeah, roll the video! As with all of our videos, let's start with the breakdown. So in this video, we'll be showcasing the best generic cards from BT20 that you should try getting to power up some of your old or new decks. We will add some promo cards as well, mostly because promo cards are a bit harder to get, but this set doesn't have a lot of generically good cards. It's usually archetype locked. That's just the way the game is. Then we will also give you some of our recommendations for decks where you can put these cards in. So maybe you figure out that like, hey, I have one of these decks. I can probably get this generic card and like power up one of my older decks. That would be awesome. Please keep in mind that these are only our recommendations, and we'll finish off the video with a summary. Let's go. We'll start the video off with set 20 cards. Set 20 Power Absorbed is legal today. You can buy it anywhere. It's just been released. And here is a bunch of cards that you can only open in this set and that are very good, like generically. We're focusing solely on generic cards and we're avoiding secret rares on purpose. I never mention secret rares. If you're new to the channel, know that I don't mention secret rares. I don't put them in deck lists and stuff because they're extremely expensive and I don't want to cause people to just hype buy them or something. So we'll just be going, over rares, super rares and whatever else is good generically. Let's dive into the list. The first card on our list is the best generic card in this entire product. Like, this card is insane. This is the best yellow floodgate at the moment. Think Robotic Riposte on steroids. This card is phenomenal. It's amazing. Go and get like multiple copies of it. The thing with this card is it has the Robotic Riposte effect. If you're new to the game, this basically means when you play it, your opponent can't attack with non-leader cards unless they switch a card from active to rest mode. That's how you stop them from attacking. But the big thing here is that it's counterplay. So that's amazing because of the second effect, which is if you have a Z battle card or a Z leader, your leader gains the skill that allows it to negate damage from strike skills for the turn. This means that if your opponent, let's say, plays Triple Strike, Syn Shenron, for example, because this is counterplay, the moment that thing enters the play, you slap this Vegito down, he can't deal damage anymore. So that's amazing. That's so strong. This card will be a staple in yellow forever. So at least try to get like 2 copies. 2 copies at the very least. However, one thing that's a downside is because it's a counterplay effect, your opponent can play against it. Not against it, around it. For example, like if I wanted to play my big boss monster and I don't want to deal with your floodgate effect, I can just attack you with everything else first and then play the boss monster. We'll go into more details about this card in our how to play guide next week. But for now, this is the main card that you should be focusing on. This card goes very well with the following leaders. Trunks Vegeta, the Spirit Bomb Vegito leader, Majin Vegeta. It goes amazingly well with these 3. But I've also added Golden Frieza. It's my favorite yellow leader. The problem with Golden Frieza is that it doesn't have a Z leader, so getting the permanent skill, the one that negates strike damage, is more difficult. You will have to keep your Z battle cards alive for this effect, but other than that, Golden Frieza just has so much energy that this card is actually viable in it. It fits perfectly into a lot of yellow decks, including the newest starter deck. So if you're someone who's just getting into the game and you got the Majin Vegeta starter deck, you should be looking at getting this card. It brings a ton of value to the table. The next card on our list is SS3 Goku Universe at Stake, the Goku SR. Yellow is knocking it out of the park with these amazing generic cards. This card is insane. This card is just bonkers. In our opinion, this card is Turles All Too Easy on steroids. If you're new to the game and you don't know what Turles All Too Easy is, it's an old card that you basically cheat in, I believe, for 2 energy if your leader is a Saiyan. I believe that's what it does, and then it can KO like 2 things in rest mode. This one is a bit more restrictive. It has an entire list of conditions that you need to fulfill to play it, but it's much more powerful. It's 30k deflect, and it has an amazing ability which says when it attacks, you can choose a card ignoring barrier and switch it to rest mode. So you just deal with all of those pesky barrier blockers. There's a ton of them right now, so you just like switch them to rest mode and swing. That's awesome. You can also deal with crucial cards with barrier which aren't blockers, so that you can switch them and then you can attack into them. There is a lot of things that you can do here, and because of its activate main, this is also technically a dual attacker, and it doesn't have a limit on his auto. So there is a lot of options here. This card is phenomenal. Let's look at some decks in which this card is amazing. So it goes well into the newest Spirit Bomb deck. It's actually the boss monster for the Spirit Bomb deck, along with Vegito, which is not boss monster, but it is its second SR. So if you're building this deck, this card just fits naturally in there. It also does well in generically good yellow leaders, such as Trunks Jita, for example. But I've also added 2 other cards, which are the Flip Gohan, which plays with fields, and Garlic. And here is the reason why. Because this card says, when you play it, if you have an extra card in your battle area, effectively, if you have a field card, draw a card. So it is slightly better in those yellow decks which have a field card, like Spirit Bomb. But then you need to remember that there is also this old Gohan leader who plays with field cards, so you draw one here, and Garlic also has a field card, so if you put it in Garlic, you can also draw a card there. It's slightly better in these older decks. So yeah, that's basically it. This is the second yellow SR. You know, I never thought that I was gonna say this, but our next recommendation is a green card. Actually, our 2 next recommendations are green cards. Yeah, crazy world that we live in. So, green continues its streak of bad decks, of bad archetypes, with amazing random generic support. That's the big baffling thing, like, new green decks are so bad, but the generic cards that just randomly come with, you know, these new decks are amazing. And this is one of them. This card is incredible. If you're playing green, get this card. It's insane. It flat out removes unisons. Your opponent can't choose whether they want to discard or they want to kill their unison. If they have a unison with cost 3 or less, it dies. And currently, Majin Buu is limited to 1. There aren't almost any above 3 cost unisons that see play. Even Red sometimes plays Baby, which is like 3 cost. So this thing removes anything. No conditions. Just like, hey, does it cost 3? Yes, removed. Insane. This card is phenomenal. It's a bit pricey, you know, because it costs 2 to play and it's a bit slow, but it offers just unparalleled unison removal in the current Dragon Ball card game era. Where can you play this card? Well, it fits naturally into its SS4 GT Goku terrible green archetype. Don't play that one. I'm really not sold on that one. But then again, I might be missing something. I am not a huge fan of green archetypes, although I'm a green player myself. It also fits amazingly well into good stuff decks like Master Roshi. Master Roshi isn't a good stuff deck in a way that you just play generic green cards in it, but it does a lot of generically green stuff. And it already has a solid amount of unison removal, but if you want some more unparalleled unison removal, you can put this card into it. Or you can just like side it, depending on what you play against. The problem with green is that while this card is amazing, green has so much unison removal right now, so you really need to weigh like, okay, will I play this or not? Besides, generically good green decks, there is also green androids, there's also green cell, and you can put this one into green cell to give it some extra unison removal options. And this is an android. So you have green android decks where you can tutor for this, when you can make this a bit easier to find, or where just the fact that this is an android 18 can interact with the rest of your deck. These green android decks are perfect for a card like this. So yeah, these are the decks where you can play this card. And the final BT20 card on this list is green. And it's a new negate. The last card is a new negate. And this card is a rare. So you'll just be able to get this for cents. It's not going to be worth anything. And although it is obviously amazing in the newest Goku GT deck, the card is still very solid in other green decks. It's a very solid green negate for a single energy. It has limit 1, counter attack, you negate the attack and then you KO something with an energy cost of 4 or less. So for 1 energy you stop an attack, you KO something, not ignoring barrier of course. Paying 1 energy to negate an attack and KO a card is not bad, that's actually pretty good. It's of course better if it's free, but hey, for 1 energy, if you're really looking for an extra negate, if you're for example missing the more expensive ones like Dormant Potential, this isn't going to replace Dormant Potential, but it is a good starting point. It is a good replacement if you're missing some of those stronger generic green extra cards. So yeah, this is our recommendation. Now let's look at some promo cards. Promo cards are more generic and they're extremely good. Trust me, these cards are insane. You can only get them in selected packs, which will be distributed either at your local events or selected bigger events. We're focusing only on generic cards, and please keep in mind, these cards can be hard to get initially. Eventually there will be more of them on secondary markets or distributed around events. The more time goes by, the easier it is to get some of these cards. But if you're living in a place which doesn't have locals, it could be more difficult to get them. That's all I'm saying. Let's dive into the list. The first promo card that we'll be looking at is a new cooler. Yeah, another green card. Green is killing it with generic support, which is awesome because green needs more help than any other color. And now it's finally getting some help, and this cooler it's amazing. It's really, really good. It has barrier, which is really relevant protection nowadays, more relevant than deflect. And it's a bit slow, but it offers either hard removal or it offers hand disruption. Both of those are amazing. Combine this with like Jiren or Frieza Z battle cards to give it effectively dual attack and discard or remove 2 cards in a single turn, because his auto, when he attacks, either KOs or your opponent discards 1, doesn't have once per turn. So you can actually, put Jiren on him. Jiren says that he cannot be removed from the battle area, and then you just safely swing twice for 20k double strike, and you, let's say, force your opponent to discard 2 cards. this card is amazing. If you have Frieza, then they're just discarding 3 cards in total. It's a great card. Get at least 1 copy if you can. Let's take a look at some green decks where you can fit this card in. So it goes well with these following leaders. Master Roshi, because this card, it is extremely generic and it fits everywhere, and it works very well with Fated Rivals or in a hand destruction deck for more discard. And Master Roshi is amazing with Fated Rivals. Fated Rivals are the boss monster of Master Roshi. So if you can combine this card with them, you can have so much discard. So much. You can have like Piccolo discarding 2, you can have this card discarding 2, you can have the Krillin one, I believe, or the Goku one of those non-Fated Rival ones, the 5-cost ones also discards. You can discard a whole bunch of cards in Master Roshi with this cooler. It also works well in cooler. I mean, like I put it here because, you know, cooler, that's basically it. And if you're looking for a more aggressive hand destruction deck, you can put this into Cell as well. Next up is my personal favorite. This card is phenomenal. This promo Syn Shenron is insanely strong. It's basically a cold bloodlust on legs, which doesn't have an auto once per turn. You can use your ability once per turn effectively, because it just negates itself, but you can choose when to activate it. That's insane. Insane. And it has the best protection in the game. Deflect, barrier, 24k blocker, counterplay. This card is, oh my god, this is everything good with yellow in one card. However, it's permanent. It's permanent makes it a bit slower. Getting 7 or more cards in various areas early in the game isn't easy to do, but there are some decks which can do it. Regardless, this is an amazing counterplay card and you should get at least 1 copy. Trust me, secure yourself at least 1 copy of this card. Where can you play this card? Well, you can basically play it anywhere. It naturally fits into the old yellow Syn deck, but outside of it, it is a good tech option for like any generic leader. For almost any yellow deck, of course. In some decks, getting it online earlier is a bit slower, but for example in Frieza it's still relatively fast because you will just be filling your drop area with cards. Spirit Bomb, it works here as well. It works in Trunks Vegeta as 1 copy. This card works in a lot of generic leaders. The only question is like, where can you pull it off in the early game, or where can you just pull it off mid to late? This is the one thing that you need to take care of when you're building a deck with this Syn card in it. Now let's talk about the hot button issue. This is one of those cards that you should be getting. Get like at least 1 copy of this one, maybe 2, but don't buy 2 if they're too expensive. This is a sideboard staple. You won't be playing this in the main deck, but this one counters so many decks, because it just removes from the game everything, ignoring barrier, ignoring indestructible, everything that has a universe tag in it. It hits so many decks. This card alone hits all universe decks. It doesn't matter which universe is it. Does it have universe in it? Yes, it's gone. It also hits the new starter Gohan deck, because that's a universe 7 deck. It hits both red set 20 archetypes, universe 3 and universe 7. Universe in the name, both of them are gone. And it also hits the upcoming Goku Black Ultimate deck, because beside universes, it also hits gods as well. And Goku Black is a Saiyan god, so that deck is also completely demolished. Get this card. This card will be a player in the upcoming meta, because it counters so much. And while I believe that this card is a mistake, because printing it in the same as a promo, in the same meta, where you print so many cards with universe in their name, is definitely a mistake. You should try to get at least a single copy for your sideboard. Okay, the video is getting a bit long, so let's wrap it up. These are my last recommendations. The Gohan one is phenomenal. If you're playing a red deck, play this one. This one will see play in Syn because it's super cheap in Syn. Syn charges like 3Z energy at least, turn 1, and then you have a 1 cost double strike blocker, which is a counterplay, which also negates something for -20. He's 20k himself. Extremely oppressive. And in Gogeta as well. Brienne de Chateau is an amazing barrier removal for all of those green decks which don't want or can't have the Fated Rivals combo in them. This is basically Goku Fated Rival, but you don't get Piccolo along with her. She is smaller, she is weaker, but it's still a 2-cost remove a card with barrier, and that's awesome. And finally, SS4 Vegeta, just go and get this one. This one is an insane black card. There's so many decks that you can fit this one in. Super powerful. This will be the next black chase card. Trust me, getting at least, I don't know, I would get at least 1 copy of SS4 Vegeta. I would get like 1 copy of Brienne, maybe 2, and then like 1 to 2 copies of Gohan. Like 1 to 2 copies of each of these. Before we end the video, let's just jump into the summary. Those are our picks for some amazing generic cards that you should be keeping your eye on. Keep in mind, some of them might get bought out even before this video comes out, because I'm constantly refreshing card market and there's not a lot of copies of Vegito, and Vegito is already expensive. He's like close to 10 euros if you want more copies for a single seller. So keep in mind, some of them will be gone very quickly. Some of them are promo cards, which might make them harder to obtain, but hopefully you'll be able to get them for cheap. If you can't get them now for cheap, just wait until the next event and then either participate in the next event or just wait for it to end and there's gonna be a whole bunch of them. Like, that's usually how things are with these promo cards. Yellow and green are the winners here. Yellow and green are definitely the winners. Their generic cards are insane this time around. Other colors have focused more on archetype locked cards, which is why we didn't really have them from set 20. We had something in promos here and there, but mostly it's yellow and green. Maybe next time we'll see more black and red cards in set 21. We'll see, but yeah, this was the video. That's it for the video. Let me know in the comments below which new cards will you be getting. Which generic cards are you most excited for? Not just generic cards, also tell me like what will you be getting in general. This set has some cool archetypes in it and I can't wait to see what my community will be building with set 20, because this is always an exciting time when a new set comes out. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I read all of your comments, I try to respond to everything. I love our little community, and while you're still here, check Zenkai Showdown in the description below, and please hit those like and subscribe buttons, share the video around, it really helps us grow, and maybe we can reach 3k by the end. Okay, this is a pipe dream, but maybe we can reach 2k by the end of March. We'll see. This has been Damien from The Lookout, and I'll see all of you in the next video.